Good morning and welcome to Spartan Spotlight, where we bring you all things regarding AU athletics. I'm Robert Zaglinski. AU Athletic Director Jim Hamad has been ingrained in the community, a prominent leader across many boards, and has overseen more than his fair share of upgrades and renovations. We're ecstatic here on the show as Hamad joins us today to lay out his principles, experience he's gained, where he thinks AU Athletics stands, and more. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Coming over to Aurora from Pepperdine in December 2013, what were your first thoughts when you were hired as athletic director?
Well, Pepperdine's in Malibu, so that's a little different.
The weather?
Yeah, the weather's a little different. Really, I was impressed by the success that was already here on campus. Great student athletes, high expectations. I was lucky because I came in, I took over for Mark Walsh, my predecessor, and Sean Neitzel, so things were in place. And I thought it was primed to take off. And I like to think that we've taken it to new heights over the last couple years. So it was a pleasant surprise to see just how well everything was established in athletics and really around the campus. I'd never worked at a school where the president and my boss, Dr. DeLacy, are so ingrained and supportive of athletics too, which was it's been a great help.
What specifically do you draw from your past experiences like Pittsburgh and Akron? What do you feel you've translated well to AU so far?
We always try to make the focus on the student athlete experience, and my career has always been based around student athlete development, and I think that's always got to be the focus. That's one of the best things about Division III is the focus is on the student athletes getting a degree. It's understanding your role in the community. And that's always been a focus for us. And usually if that's in place, the athletic success will follow. And like I said, I think over the last couple of years, we've been fortunate because that's kind of the way that's worked out.
As a follow-up, you sort of just answered it, but so the thing you're really working on to improve in AU athletics is improving in student development and stuff like that. Is there anything specific you'd like to note? Well,
I think it was already in place when I got here. I just think it's got to be a renewed focus consistently on the experience our student athletes have, and that's in the classroom, the community, also on the field. The way that they dress and they look. We signed a apparel deal with Nike because right now it's Nike and Under Armour. They're kind of the two
big dogs.
Two big dogs, and so we got a good deal with Nike where we're able to outfit our athletes in sharp gear. Providing practice uniforms and gear to student athletes was a newer idea that I was able to bring, and I think I brought those from the bigger schools. It was a standard that you provide kids what they need to work out and compete. And coming here, I think that's part of my approach is, if you look good and you feel good, you're going to play well.
Right. You have been on a variety of support boards throughout your career. You answered this question with me a long time ago in our conversation, but are these the kinds of programs that you've established at AU or that you've implemented personally, and if they aren't, what do you bring specifically to the table for them?
Well, I think the other schools, I was probably more in the creation of those boards. Certainly at Pepperdine, there were some things with the student athlete development, athlete wellness group that we started, and that's really, once again, focus on student athletes that maybe need some extra help. Those boards here, because it's a smaller school, they're already in place. The student life department here does a very good job of caring for all the students. So I think they're already in place here. Maybe my background, I provided more of a focus in athletics to support those boards and those committees. But overall, there's a great staff here that are looking out for the best interests of all the students.
So you sort of just let them do their thing already. You take more of a hands-off approach and come in where you need to be.
I think one of the first people I was able to hire when I got here was Heather Ranke, our assistant AD, and now there's an athletics presence certainly on those boards. Heather a lot of times, or Nikki Peart, the other assistant AD, they're involved with those boards, those committees, where I think there's probably been more of an athletics presence on some of those committees around campus than ever before. And it shows us, that we support, they do, and ultimately it gives our student athletes the help, if they need it, the help that they do need.
Talk about your daily routine as athletic director here at AU for those who may not be familiar with the kinds of responsibilities you have. What's the typical day like for you? And I know you may not have a typical day.
Yeah, every day is different. I think that's part of the appeal. literally, it's you get in the office. There's usually some things that have happened. You know, a lot of talking with coaches, as you can imagine. You know, overseeing about 60 staff people overall. There's around 700 athletes. Things pop up. There's some damage control. A lot of it also is for us trying to, you know, have a vision and portray that vision across all areas. Set the standard. Set a high standard, and working with the coaches and the athletes to meet that standard. But yeah, really, it's someone told me a long time ago, and being an AD is like being a chicken in a hailstorm. You know, you're just popping, you're going here, here, here. You know, there'll be days where I'll literally, you know, I'll get in here usually pretty early, about 8 o'clock, and may not have a chance to actually sit down and email people until after lunch, because, you know, I'm going and talking to coaches and I'm getting called over across campus. But that's the appeal. You know, it's a lot of like I said, damage control and solving problems.
Of what you can say, what would you not classify, or what would you not classify as something that isn't routine? Like
something that's popped up?
Yeah, so it's things that have popped up, like as best as you can.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, last night I got a call. I was playing with my kids, probably about 6 o'clock at night. I got a call from our women's bowling coach, and our women's bowling team just went on their first road trip to Valparaiso. So I got a call at 6 o'clock at night. Their bus had gotten broken into while they had stopped on the interstate in Indiana.
What?
And so, yeah, their bus got broken into, and their laptops were stolen. So, you know, then I'm on the phone last night, again this morning. In fact, as I was walking over here, I was talking to my boss on the cell phone about the situation and what's gone on. So that's not one that you want to repeat, but that's a good example of the kind of stuff that pops up. I mean, ultimately, when there's all these people under you, and things kind of, you know, they happen, it's going to go to the top, and that's what happened last night.
That's actually a really nice segue. So I'd imagine that's something that's one of the things you haven't seen before. Is there anything else that you probably in your experience haven't seen before?
Well, I like to think at this point I've probably seen just about everything. You know, I've been in college athletics for, I don't know, 13 or 14 years and worked in different variety of jobs and different campuses. So I'm sure other stuff will pop up that I haven't seen. But overall, I like to think that my experience I've had in those other situations have allowed me to make the right decision.
Right.
And even when this happened with the bowling team, I'd been through this before, so it helped calm their nerves and to figure out how we're going to help these young student athletes out.
Great. In the time you've been at AU teams have won 26 conference championships, 25 have appeared in the NCAA tournament 25 times. What do you feel has been your biggest success related to athletic achievement so far?
I think a lot of that was already established. I mean, I've been here about 3 years. You know, if anything, I've been fortunate because the president and Dr. DeLacy, Dr. Sheriff and Dr. DeLacy have invested some money and some resources into athletics. That's allowed us to renovate Alumni Hall, allowed us to renovate Thornton Gymnasium. You know, I think that's only going to help. You know, help with recruiting, help with morale. So I think I've been fortunate being in the right place at the right time a little bit too. And I think with the coaches, you have to ask them. I think I'm pretty outward and forward with the standard that's set. And I often believe that you hire good people, give them resources, and then hold them accountable. And I think that over the last 3 years, we've been able to do that at a pretty high level. So, like I said, it's one of those things where I took over a great situation, and maybe my experiences have allowed us to tweak things a little bit to make it even more special, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Well, what kind of things are you tweaking since you mentioned that you're just adding to the standard?
Well, I think it's a constant, you know, for us a big battle is facilities. We're constantly looking at a way to upgrade and better our facilities. You know, I think at the time I took over, there were some changes that need to be made within the coaching staffs, and we've gotten that to where it's great now. I truly believe that we are a department, we all work together. We've got great professional coaches. And ultimately, it's trying to get consistently more great students and great athletes. And anything I can do from my chair, if it's you know, a renewed focus on recruiting, to get, you know, better athletes, better students in the door, that's a consistent theme within the office.
It's just about continually progressing, right?
Got to get better every day.
Do you draw a specific line of tasks for each coach or program to obey, or does it is it just limited to your main vision when everyone develops a specific subset of tasks for themselves, or are you more hands-off?
I like to look at it as I think the standard has been set.
So sort of same answer, right?
Yeah, they know the expectation. And then I allow coaches and the staff to kind of meet that standard. So I like to consider myself kind of a hands-off. I'm certainly not an everyday, yelling at people and shaking my finger at them. I think the standard's set, and then I allow coaches within their own personalities and experiences to meet that standard. And it's worked well for us. I think the quickest way to kill morale around a department, certainly athletics, is if you're constantly have your thumb on people. And we try not to do that over there. We have professional coaches. Most of them are very experienced. And if you set the standard, they know their job. Get out of the way and let them do things. And it's worked for us so far.
You think this is rather like the standard of leadership that you've always set for yourself wherever you've been,
so.
right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, I don't want to say it's completely hands-off, but I like to think you trust people. The key is hiring good people. You hire good people, put them in the right spot, they're going to do well, and usually you can give them a little bit of freedom to meet the standard.
All right. Finally, in a specific sense, where do you feel AU athletics stands right now, and then what does the future hold as a build-up of that?
I think we're doing very well. I often talk about our athletes need to succeed academically, understand the social responsibility they have, and then succeed athletically. And I think we certainly are doing well with that. Last year in 2014-15, we had maybe the best year ever, certainly on the field for AU athletics. 50th in the national rankings of about 450 schools. So
not bad. Not
bad. Yeah. We've done well. I believe that Division III, there's some schools that it'd probably be tough to ever really get to that level if it's a Whitewater or Mount Union. Some of those schools that whatever they do, they do something right to get to do very well athletically. I like to see that we're maybe one notch down from them, but we're one of the best schools in that kind of B tier. Once we can continue to upgrade the facilities, I know Dr. Schick talked about the outdoor complex, the land that's been purchased. Once that's developed, I truly believe that we can compete with kind of that top tier level of Division III. Most of our programs now, even some of our programs now, can hang with the kind of the big dogs in Division III. But consistently as a department, I think once we're able to upgrade some things with the facilities, we'll be able to play with anybody. That
progress will come along that you've been reverberating. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us and talking to us.
Glad to be here.
Well, that's all the time we have here today on Spartan Spotlight. Join us next time and be great today, Spartans. That was pretty good.